Why are you being all squirrely?
I'm trying to deflate an air mattress.
How's that going for you?
It's weird, man. I'm down on the concrete floor here.
Are you in some sort of a factory? It sounds like you've got some people over.
I am the people that are over.
Is there actual like traffic? Are you in the street? Are you in the street?
I'm in the city.
What is I need more than that. Where are you?
I'm in Salt Lake.
That's not your home anymore. You need to let those people go.
I woke up in a strange artist's loft.
Is it were you in a bathtub filled with ice? Check for your kidneys.
No, I woke up on an air mattress with I slept all night or all morning, last couple hours with the sliding glass door to the city open.
It must be.
I mean, when I went to sleep, it was a beautiful dark city with lights. It's now full of construction workers and various municipal.
Well, it doesn't. It doesn't sound great. I'm not going to lie to you. It doesn't sound great. It sounds like you're in the middle of like some sort of a construction zone. Well, not right now so much, but you can occasionally hear workmen and.
Well, I don't have a Wi-Fi connection.
No, you sound great. You, as always.
Why, thank you.
Yeah.
I feel great.
So, do you want to do this thing?
I'm. If it sounds okay, then I'm good to go.
You're good.
I'm just sort of, rolling out of the ether right at the moment. But
what are you doing in Salt Lake? Was it some sort of a party or some sort of event? Are you working?
Yeah, no, I come down here to party. No, I actually, the home's closing, so I had to come down and
the old home. Oh,
I've got to go get the sprinkler system up running here in a little bit as soon as this the show's over.
So this is the end, is what you're saying. This is the end of the big Christensen move north, the migration.
Could be a closed chapter.
Well, congratulations.
Go through.
Wow.
But yeah.
Yeah, I am literally right now. I am drinking coffee, and I am eating chocolate icing out of a Tupperware with a spoon. What do you think of that? I haven't done that since I was 12.
You're like a gluten-free health food fanatic.
There is no gluten in this icing.
Okay. As long as there's no gluten, I'm sure it's healthy.
My wife would kill me. This is why I'm glad she doesn't listen to the show. She's traveling this week, and so
traveling to the center of Oregon.
Yeah, she's in the center of Oregon right now, and so I get to eat icing out of a Tupperware. She shouldn't have left it. I told her, I said, save that icing, and the appropriate answer when I say something like that is always no. I won't do that. Because that's bad for you, and you'll eat it with a spoon when I leave. That's what she should say. She failed. She totally failed me. This is why people get into serious relationships, is so we can count on them not to fail them in their time of need. And this is my time of need. I shouldn't be eating it. I know I shouldn't be eating this. Can't stop.
She's got more responsibilities than she realizes, apparently.
She is absolutely violating the pact she made with me the day we got married. Sickness and in health. Well, this is sickness. Icing with a spoon is a sickness. And she's gone.
Now, did you write those vows yourself, or were they just sort of standard?
I don't know. Everybody says that. I don't know. They talk. You say I do. This is.
It was cold.
Yeah. So are you following? All right. So we got to talk. Can we talk about Facebook? Are you up on Facebook stuff?
No. Are they still around?
God, I don't know. There's a punchline there, but I don't have it. I don't have it. I'm going to reach for it. It'll hit me right after we finish.
I'm trying to think here. I'm searching.
Okay. So last week we talked about the social sharing thing and how we both have kind of an issue with the social sharing.
Sure.
And so
the
oversharing, right? And I like to think when because we're in sort of the bubble. This is the naked marketer's bubble. This is you and me. We're in the bubble by ourselves. And when I finished the show last week, I felt so confident that, you and I were, I would be Leo and you would be Kate at the front of the Titanic, right? Leading the charge. We are the king of the world, right? And I felt like we were kind of part of a movement of people who were also sick of the oversharing.
That's so romantic.
I felt like that. And I would say,
very romantic.
And I would say, Dane, open your eyes. And you would open your eyes and you would shudder. You would, oversharing is terrible. And it would be great. It would be great. And then I read this article, which is an update to, in preparation of their big going public coming out party, their quinceañera, so to speak. That's a kind of a bar mitzvah.
You're right over my head.
Yeah. So this is when Facebook decides that they're going to update their new S1 filing, which they have to do now because people are watching them now that they want to go public, and their plan is I think is next month. It's kind of the middle of next month. They want to actually be an official grown-up company, and so they release all sorts of new stats. And get a load of this. Now they're up to 901 million monthly active users. And 3.2 billion likes and comments per day. Per day. Are you there?
I am here.
I'm
soaking that one in. I'm remembering when it was a big deal that it was about to hit 350 million, and that just doesn't seem like that long ago. It seemed like that was big news at the time.
Seems like huge news, and so that was just blows me away. So then, part of what they are discussing here is the acquisition of Instagram.
Yeah, which still baffles me, actually.
Tell me why that baffles you. I think it may actually baffle Facebook.
Well, yeah. I mean, the $1 billion price tag for 0 profit and 13 employees. I'm just not sure what they got.
I know. Are you on Instagram? Are we following each other on Instagram?
No, I mean, I've got the app, but I've never used it. You know what I mean? It never seemed compelling. It's
fascinating. It is just, I mean, you not that the app is fascinating. I don't think you're missing much. The Instagram. So,
am I right though? 13 employees, right?
I think I'm not. I'm not clear on.
When I hear that an unprofitable Silicon Valley company was purchased for a ton of money, I think maybe it was for the employees. But in this case, I really am not sure, and I haven't even looked into it. So I'm not. I don't consider myself well read on the topic, but that.
Well. Yeah. Okay. So it seems like, yeah. Well, I mean, it seems like this is, and this is, I think, based on my sort of microcosm of experience, I would say this is true. That, one of the most that the sharing ecosystem is built largely around visual media, right? Like the stuff that is mostly shared and mostly commented and liked is
which is the reason that the timeline. Included sort of larger space for all of your updates for others to see, so that you could include more visual, more space for your visual updates, right? I mean, that happened close to a year ago, didn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
It wasn't for some timeline update, but it was something about allowing
things to get bigger.
Yeah, things to get bigger. So if you posted, I mean, one of the big things was that you post images that have text. I can't remember what those are called. There's a word for that, right?
Images that have text?
I'm seeing them all the time. Yeah, it's like some cute little caption, like a postcard.
Oh, yeah. They've got your e-cards
whatever
that get floated around. Well, and that's the thing. It's a picture with like text on top of it, the LOL cat stuff, sort of, they kind of got that started. But you know what it, So we know, I mean, Facebook was pushing toward getting things to be bigger. And I wonder, and I think a lot of sort of the punditry is saying the same thing, that this acquisition is, it's all for, well, all right, this is where I'm stymied. I think it's for the talent and the audience, right? I think Facebook
I think the $1 billion is for that.
I do. And I think Facebook just wrote a check so that it could be Facebook Instagram, right? And they could have that no matter what happens.
I get the audience,
Yeah,
and I'm sure those are smart 13 people. But am I right on the number? How close am I? It's 13, right?
I don't know, but I want to say something else because I really want your take on this, and I'm having trouble getting it out. And I know it's like I'm shy. It's like I'm shy.
Do it. Go.
This is a quote. This is a quote from Sternberg. Janet Sternberg, who's a communications media studies professor at Fordham University. By acquiring Instagram's expertise in mobile data sharing, Facebook can stay at the leading edge and help drive innovation in the growing field of advertising for mobile devices. Go.
Yeah, no, I would have, if that were reversed, then it, like who would question if that statement, if somebody said that and said that applied to Facebook, I would say, yeah, of course, they've got smart people. They get that. Yes. Did they have to spend $1 billion to get a little bit better at that? Just seems odd.
Well, that's the thing I really am curious about. Like what they, Facebook has some of the most brilliant people, in the field that they have either groomed as longtime employees or acquired or hired. I mean, they have the most brilliant people in the field whose specialty is in, building businesses around advertising.
Well, and you and I are smart guys, and I would say $1 million a year salary I would take, and that, that's just a drop in the bucket to that $1 billion, and they would have both of us for $2 million
in a heartbeat. Well, Here's the thing. So that's the first piece. Like I am totally dubious that Instagram actually brings that level of expertise that they're worth $1 billion. I can't believe that because there's no profit and no advertising in the thing at all. I mean, I don't know about the Android app. I don't know if they advertise in the Android, but there's no advertising in the iPhone app, which is where they started. That's where they built their whole audience.
That's the thing. That's what I'm saying. When you read that statement, I think
it makes no sense.
They didn't have to acquire that. They sort of already have that.
They have an app that takes perfectly good photos, makes them look crappy, and shares them with your friends. That's what their product is.
Well,
and they've made that fun.
We're in the wrong business, Pete.
They've made that fun. I have an account. I share occasionally. I mean, I usually share the same stuff I'm sharing elsewhere. And, I know that there are people who get crazy amounts of likes and traffic out of that. I don't know how that parlays into anything substantive.
But what about creating an app that says, make your photos look crappy and just call it that?
Crappy app.
The crappy photo app.
It's totally an oops, I crap my pants kind of a thing. Thank you, oops, I crap my
photo
pants.
And make it look crappy.
That's exactly.
This is your app.
We're so
share it with your friends.
The whole reason I wanted to talk about this is because I want to hear your thoughts on, on the sort of photo ecosystem for brands, because that's everything I'm hearing right now. And I think this Instagram, purchase has finally sort of bubbled up to the surface to a lot of my clients. I mean, just this morning, I had a client who forwarded me an email from Contently. Which the Contently blog, the content strategy blog, and it's all about making your as a brand, making your brand stand out through photography, because people are realizing that's what people are sharing and clicking on and engaging in. So how can you use it better for your brand?
Okay.
And I wonder if you haven't given any thought to that.
That's a great question, actually.
And it only took us 23 minutes to get to it.
Nice build up.
14.
And I'm sorry that I, interrupted your train of thought 10 times.
No, I interrupted my train.
I'm going to blame it on the frosting, not me.
I am. I'm bouncing off the walls.
like when I gave my kids cotton candy at Disneyland a couple weeks ago. They were worthless for 2 hours after that. So here's a thought. I guess as you finally funnel it down to your bottom line, things are making more sense. And I'm thinking the $1 billion Instagram purchase, I wonder how much of that coincided with the recent uptick in Pinterest interest.
All right, here's an interesting bit of interest. An interesting
Yes.
bit of interest. Get ready for this. So Tim Kendall, who was formerly in charge of Facebook, of building the Facebook business platform, right? I mean, his charge was.
You mean by Facebook business platform?
Well, his charge was helping was getting Facebook to be considered as a business platform. Like his whole charge was monetizing.
Did he fail
Facebook.
at that?
No, he actually
What do you mean?
did quite well. And Facebook, actually is with 9.
You're talking about Facebook as a business making profit platform.
Yeah, I can't remember his actual title. I'm going to see if I can find that real quick. But this is
You're
what
not
I think
talking about businesses using Facebook as a platform.
And yeah. Well, I think probably both of those things. Hold on a second. Don't go anywhere. What was his title? It's going to make me. Well, anyway, the most interesting part of that is that Tim Kendall, he was one of those sort of power hitters at Facebook, he just moved to Pinterest to do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I find that interesting.
Okay.
We
don't know.
His title at Facebook was Director of Monetization.
Ooh. That is something I'd like to have on my resume.
Right? He was a director of monetization. Prior to Facebook, MBA, intern project manager. Oh, he was a project manager to Amazon.com. He's a Stanford grad. He left Stanford, joined Facebook straight away in 2006, and now he's at Pinterest. And his quote on Pinterest is, this is the most interesting company I've seen since Facebook.
It's the most interesting company I've seen since I just increased my paycheck by threefold by coming here. It is definitely an interesting company.
So interesting.
But okay, so back to the question about the importance of visualizing your brand, I guess, like photography, snapshots for brand awareness and business growth. Is that it? I'm close, right?
Yeah, it's pretty good. What do you tell your
Beta
clients?
Brand, I think, encapsulates that and doesn't, I don't feel like Facebook is the accelerant or, Pinterest or any other social platform. I feel like Beta Brand is a great brand that has absolutely, built their growth, I think is, at least, whatever, 30 or 40%. It's that entire concept of, customer engagement and social sharing and images of, people wearing the product, and it's all whimsical, all fits into a sort of, the same vibe, the same theme, the same sort of, characterization, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know who filters that. It's sort of like the marketing director of Beta Brand is essentially a filter editor, right? To make sure that all of the images sort of fit a certain feel and sense of humor. But again, doesn't rely on any one platform to do it other than their website. But to your question, that's the first thing I think about.
Well, I think that really gets to it, is that how can you use visual media to illustrate that you are fostering and part of a broader community?
Well, and again, I think Beta Brand is, for me, the sort of the quintessential example, modern example, current example
of that,
of a company that sort of puts everything squarely on that concept.
Okay, so Beta Brand, we love Beta Brand. They have great products and they're very funny. Yeah, no, they're fantastic.
I like my wife's Badgesoft.
I've got one on my couch right now. It's fantastic, but that is sort of a unique brand, right? And so when I'm wondering how you counsel your clients.
Well, I haven't done a good job. I'd love to see that. I think that's a fantastic thing to be involved in. I would love every client, current and potential, to be interested in visual sharing of their product. I think that's fantastic. And I haven't had that conversation with any client.
Well, that's a terrible question for me to ask you then.
or for me
Yeah,
to
you know,
not
I
answer.
have had that conversation. I think there's a cultural piece that sort of gets in the way of kind of flipping that switch, and that is that, you know, my clients tend to be in a position of it's run by older, you know, folks who are not in.
Well, Pete, come on.
Well, they're not even in my generation, right? And they're not even in my generation. That means they're older
so
than dirt. That's terrible, because that's not true. They're not as old as dirt. Old dirt is exceedingly old. I'm just saying they're
like, blame it on Rio old.
They're
Sorry. I mean, I sort of refer to generations in Demi Moore terms. Demi Moore is sort of the rings on the tree for me. Anyway.
Demi Moore or Dudley Moore?
Well,
I loved him. I loved him in 10. Dudley Moore, that Arthur.
I loved him in the original Bewitched. Was it? No.
That's not even a thing. No, that wasn't him.
Not Bewitched. The one with the remake that was done with Brandon Fraser. What's it called? Anyway, somebody plays the devil and somebody has 3 wishes or something to that effect. Go ahead. Old people. Okay,
so there's a trust issue right there. Okay, so there's a cultural kind of a trust issue, right? Which is, I don't trust my clients to be able to share the message that I have in my head. So why would I want to equip them with a tool that allows them to take pictures of my product in their use case?
Probably just for your own amusement.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, when you look at Betabrand and you look at the customer, community is quite active.
But again, this is what I think is really interesting about what they're doing. Certainly, they get tons of images submitted to them or ideas or whatever. But they've held if you go to the Betabrand website and you browse the products and you spend some time sort of in their whimsical reality, there's a consistency to the sense of humor and the feeling and the overall kind of message that they're very obviously trying to convey, and the taste the taste in your mouth they want to leave you with. But that requires, in my mind, that the marketing director be more of an editor of sorts.
Yes.
More of a director, or in the cinematic sense, or an editor, to say, this sort of contributes to what we're trying to leave people with, and this doesn't.
Yeah, I think you just kind of nailed it, and that's the new job of marketing, right? Is that cultivating of the message. And I think that gets to what that sort of generational awareness is that at some point you have to let go of the fact that marketing is not so much about just placing advertising, but it's about it's about cultivating this message online. And that's really where I get into this, where I have difficulty actually getting over the hump with more traditional clients is, we've got to find a way to change the way we think about where our products exist and how the products are discussed online, and not and work not necessarily out of a place of fear. And I think there's a lot of fear in making the transition into this world, because it's scary for for key players in an organization to suddenly be touchable in more social space.
Well, and it's a further evolution, I guess, of the concept of community manager, as so marketing director becomes community manager, becomes, I mean, what would the title be for this? Where you're sort of your community engagement, but you're sort of trying to promote an overall image, a visual image of the company through your community, and their visual contribution to their experience with your brand. It's an interesting evolution.
It is an interesting evolution. So I don't know. Betabrand is it's a tough model to look at, because there's to replicate, because it really is such a unique experience. And I think that's what they did so well is they allowed themselves to just be themselves. And a lot of companies have trouble doing that. And those are the companies that really work well in this visual.
Doing that
sure they
with
do.
themselves.
Exactly. And so I think once you get to the point where you realize you are operating in that sort of authentic self and you know who you are as a company, then these tools suddenly start to make sense.
So it requires confidence.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. Okay, so
direct confidence. So how about this? Have you ever considered this concept as a vacation theme? So you take a vacation, and instead of a destination, your vacation concept is a trip back to your life at age 14 or 16 or 21.
I was just going to say, I'll bet I was eating icing out of a Tupperware bag. Why are you coming up with that? What should I do?
What about, like, you're going to take 7 days to play video games and go to like 3D movies and eat junk food, like all the things that when you were a teenager would have just blown your mind. But now you're an adult and you don't do those things. You haven't fulfilled that fantasy.
Yeah.
And now you're going to take a week vacation to fulfill all of those adolescent fantasies.
I like it. I was just thinking about this weekend, and because my son turned 6, and 6 is kind of a big transition year, right?
Is it? I thought, yes. Okay. At that age, every year is a transition year. Yes.
I think it's sort of a milestone, because this is where we've moved, where all the presents moved from being, decidedly kid things to things that are frankly really my speed. Personally, me as dad. Like now he's gone from things that, I'm really, I'm playing with him because, he's my son and I like playing with my son, to now I'm playing with him because I like playing with his stuff.
Now you want to beat him at the game.
Now we're playing with Avengers, jets and toys, and we have bases, and we have characters and storyline and plot. And that's what we've got going on in my living room. And it is totally...
You are nurturing a nerd. That is fantastic. Good for you.
I have every intention of nurturing a nerd. Are you kidding? That could be the biggest gift I could... That is my own brand of immortality. That's how I will live forever.
You are leaving your mark on the planet in a positive way.
That's exactly right. That is exactly right. I once, see, this is why I'm glad my parents don't listen to the show.
Because they fail.
No.
You're about to call them out.
No, I was in my bedroom as a wee youth, and I was a big G.I. Joe Transformers guy. Like, that was me, and it was the original Transformers where they were metal and they actually hurt you.
I had a G.I. Joe and a G.I. Jim. But go ahead.
Did you have the G.I. Joe when they were still like a foot tall, or the little mini G.I. Joes, the little guys?
No, the foot tall, the Barbie doll G.I. Joes.
Yeah, the Barbie G.I. Joes. That's what I'm talking about. Well, I had a whole collection of both, and I had the vehicles, the Snowcat, and the I had the bases and everything, and there was sort of an insurrection in my bedroom, and Storm Shadow was kind of leading an attack on the ranks of the rebel. What? The rebel Transformers.
This is totally a normal conversation
that had broken ranks, and it wasn't. It didn't end well, because that was also when I discovered fire, and I had like a lighter, and
you burn?
In my bedroom I lit my bed on fire. And
what?
I did. I lit my bed on fire, and I managed to put it out, but I then had to. Yeah, and then I had to turn all the sheets around and hide it. And so for years, I couldn't...
My gosh.
I couldn't let my mom wash my bottom sheet because she would see that I had done it. So I became really good at changing my own sheets.
Holy crap.
At that point, because I lit it on fire, and it was bright. She still doesn't... They don't know. They don't know this. They don't know the truth of this.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, and it was because of this If those Transformers had not broken ranks, I wouldn't have had to go after
You
them like
set your
this.
bed on fire, and your parents still don't know. Holy crap!
So I took my imaginative play very seriously.
Oh wow, what a revelation.
Yeah, it
Wow.
was big, and so that's why I'm trying to hide the matches, but I'm definitely we've got some serious
Your mom
play.
thought there might have been some other reason you didn't want the sheets changed.
Was that an appropriately awkward silence? I don't know when to stop. I don't know when to break.
It's fun to let those hang sometimes. even even when you've got a response,
Yeah.
sometimes just letting it hang is just
is
fun.
good. Yeah, all right.
Even when you've got a funny, quippy thing to say. Hey, I just watched the Phoenix Suns pull into the nuclear waste arena here in Salt Lake.
that sounds like a real attention getter. That's a brand I want to be a part of.
Tinted window bust. I've got a perfect view here of the. It's an important game tonight between the Jazz and the Suns. They win, they're in the playoffs.
Are you staying for the game? Are you there for the game?
I have to. My wife doesn't think I am, but I think I am.
Marriage is fun.
We'll see how that goes.
Yeah. All right. Do we have anything else to talk about on this whole marketing thing?
Oh, marketing.
I don't know that we do. Unless
What's Megan too, by the way. Can we talk about that on the show?
What Megan's up to?
Yeah.
Megan's doing great. Their show is great. Cause Talk Radio. They're smart. They're really, she is a step up from what we do.
Oh, I know that. No,
she and Joe Waters
a step up in every way.
In every way. There's no comparison. Totally outclasses us in every way. And she and that Joe Waters, they've gone back to the getting guests, and they interview people that are smarter than they are every week. And
Oh, man.
that's a lot of
we miss her.
That's a lot of work. I sure am happy with what we do, though.
She appropriately cracked that whip, and now it's not there anymore.
Not there anymore. I do want to say I am noting of interest that Facebook. This back to Facebook. I'm still clicking around on Facebook.
Full circle, and then let's go out.
Yeah. All right.
So smart.
One of the things that I was thinking about in light of this whole oversharing thing is that I am seeing a broader variety of my friends in the liked sponsored ad box than I have ever seen before. Right? It used to be there were like 2 people who would click like on everything.
Our friends are engaging in commercial messaging at a higher rate than they were before.
Yes. Now I have obviously no hard data to support that. My sort of empirical observation. I'm seeing more friends in connecting with commercial brands than I have ever seen before, and that's like in the last couple of weeks.
That's enriching your life.
It used to be just you, Dane likes Beta Brand. Dane likes Beta Brand again.
Flirt.
And look, Dane likes yogurt. That's great. Right.
Dane likes walking shoes.
And now I am seeing the level of connectivity of people with brands. I think that the barriers are just crumbling down, and so this is what I believe it's
the barriers of privacy and decency and all things we've come to know and respect and familiarize ourselves with about the human experience are just crumbling, and for better or worse, we're on to a new era.
I know we really are, and I don't know what that means. I makes me just a little bit nervous, but the bottom.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Hey, Devon, what's the name of that plant? Ayahuasca. Have you ever heard of that?
Yeah. Why would I have heard of that?
You never have?
I'm just wondering what. It sounds familiar to me. Why would I have heard of it?
Sounds familiar to him. Is there any reference, Devon? Ayahuasca? I don't think it's familiar to you, except that you're from Portland. You may have heard of it. I just thought I'd throw it out there. If it's, it's not familiar to me. It's a new concept for me. This whole thing about human evolution and sort of new social structures and a new, level of awareness has me thinking about ayahuasca. So users can Google that. I'll Google it. You Google it.
Isn't ayahuasca like I thought it was a drug.
Oh.
I thought it was like a mushroom.
Smart man. Look at that. He does know what ayahuasca is.
Is that what
I
you're
think
talking
that's
about? Are you
made
talking
it
about a psychedelic? Like you're trying to get our users to?
How do you know about this?
Oh man, I went to school in Boulder. Please.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm just curious. All right.
All right. Well, I want to go back to me. So this is what I am. You know, I think those social sharing things and people saying yes, I'm going to give my email address and my user account information to these apps. I think the barriers are just falling, and I think that's the cultural shift we were talking about. That people are. You know, this was my final point. It's the hypocrisy of our sort of global culture, which is we talk about how offensive these tools are in taking over our privacy and in sharing everything, oversharing, and yet we still click OK. We still click OK. And
well, that's is it hypocrisy or is it just
dumb? It's just dumb.
Or I don't know, like an incongruence. I don't know. It's sort of
cognitive dissonance.
Honestly, it's optimism. What it is it's optimism on the one side, I guess. It's optimism on the one side and fear on the other.
Yeah. All
right. I mean, you look around and you say, well, this could all just really go terribly wrong, but yet you contribute and you further it and you forward it because you're optimistic.
Is that what we're talking about? Optimism?
Yes, it is. Of course it is.
All right. Well, okay. Final bit of news. Just while we were talking, Google Drive went live. We've talked about Dropbox. Dropbox.
5 gig.
Yeah, 5 gigs for free. It is live and up, and you just have to go there. If you have a Google account and you're signed in to Gmail or something, you can just...
Yeah, how's Dropbox going to compete? Do you see new pricing strategies for them?
I don't know. I think it'll be interesting. Google Drive's going to have to.
I just don't like the gap between 2 and 100 or 50 or whatever it is, 2 and 49. It's like $100 gap, right?
No, it's it's like $100 a year. But the bottom line is Google or Dropbox is as close to a perfect product as I've used. I mean, it's a product that never ever fails me, and when I fail it responds beautifully. Like when I have a client that actually accidentally deletes, gigs of shared stuff, I go into Dropbox and I can bring it all back. Like that, you can't. Like
what a momentary nightmare.
It is. It's the first time it happens, it's terrifying, but then you realize I am so confident in this service because it has never let me down.
Well,
so
this is where Google fails, though. Right?
Yes,
It's like, hey, 5 gigs, it all sounds good. And everyone says, well, Google, we trust them. This is going to be fantastic. Of course, we'll all be using it. And then the user experience kind of sucks and people don't pick up on it. And then it just sort of goes away after a while.
Well, and here's
like saying Dropbox has absolute... They have your respect and trust.
Yeah, well, and you look at I think this is where one of the pieces that I like so much about Dropbox is go ahead and try to take your iPad and a Bluetooth keyboard and go to a coffee shop and bring up a Google Doc using any one of the quote Google Docs editing apps like Documents to Go HD. Try to do something. Because, first of all, just try to edit it in the web interface. I freaking dare you not to want to yank your own teeth out.
Because you're a big Google Docs guy.
Exactly.
And look at you.
And when I went to Boston the last, whenever it was the week before last, I traveled with only my iPad and a Bluetooth keyboard. And an
experiment we all should do in addition to an Amish vacation.
Well, both of those things we should do. And it was a nightmare trying to use Google Docs for this purpose. It was a freaking mess. It really was. Wow. It was terrible. Nothing works. Now, I go over to my Dropbox app and I click on a file and it opens in Pages and I edit it and I have access to all the formatting that I use. And I use basic formatting. I'm not one of the most of the documents when I'm creating on the iPad.
You're not fancy.
I'm not a fancy
simple man.
I'm not a fancy lad. I use the basic kind of headings, but it works great. Or I jump into, like I said last week, I jump into Byword and it's just everything's in iCloud and it just works. Like I know what to expect, and I never know what to expect with Google Docs on mobile.
So interesting.
So then I go to Google Drive.
Instead of Google Docs,
right?
If you're remote.
So I go to Google Drive, and the first thing it says is iPad and iPhone access coming soon. Well, all right. So I don't even want to try it until I can't try mobile, because I don't really care about it. Everything
never.
It maybe never. They lie. Google just lies about stuff. When when Google Plus came out, they said, for all of you people who are using Google Plus, on your regular Gmail account, but want to use it on your Google Apps account, like I have my Apps account. That's where all my stuff is. I don't use the regular gmail.com. They said it'll be 2 weeks. 2 weeks from the date of this announcement, we will have a conversion tool, a migration tool. It's been months. It has been 6 months, and there is no word from anybody. They just lie because they don't know. They just
do you own any Google stock, by the way?
None. I do not.
Okay.
I should, because then I would sell it. I love Google stuff. I do. A lot of the stuff, when it works, it works really well, but I have less and less trust, and I go back into these products and I look at the ones that really work for me, and Gmail is the one that works. Everything else breaks every time I turn
Gmail
around.
does work. Gmail is brilliant.
Yes. Gmail works great, and
all those back end ways that you never have to worry about.
Yeah,
not like brilliant ways that it moves things forward and exponential, but it never breaks down.
And I think their assumption is that mobile has to catch up to how brilliant they are, and there is some part of that I see is probably true, that the web experience for Google Docs is great, and if you have a small team that needs to collaborate on document creation or spreadsheets or something that you can publish to the web and edit very, very easily, that is where it really excels. The collaboration stuff really excels on Google products, and there's nothing for that sort of limited feature set that works better in my experience. But man, if you really want to convert and live in the Google ecosystem, there's way too much that breaks at the fringes, that they just don't land squarely. It's like they don't stick the landing when they release core products, and it just takes years and years to get stuff right, and that's very frustrating. So,
and it takes us back to that sort of ongoing kind of Microsoft conversation, or I don't know, Microsoft Google, where it's great that one product or one suite of products can do everything for you, but I think the concept of that is kind of fading in a sense, because you just, like you're saying about Dropbox. Well, this isn't a new concept, the idea of having cloud storage and having it integrate with your mobile devices, but somebody does it exceptionally well, and that's all they do, and you love it, and why not segregate, between companies that do sort of the most important things that are the things that you need most, 5 or 10 separate companies that do them well, and you segregate that instead of relying on one brand to solve all those problems for you.
Right.
Which they just historically haven't ever.
Yeah, that I guess is the issue that I wonder. I wonder. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, there's some, they have momentum with the kind of core set of users for Google Drive, but I'm put me down.
Look at it. But what you're telling me about the lack of integration is kind of dead on arrival for me.
It really, and if it's dead on arrival now, is it going to really be something that you're going to put a notch in your calendar and say, Google?
I've heard rumors about this for years. Why can't it be released with the things that matter on release?
Yeah. Well,
like, why do you have to beta test?
And this is it doesn't say anything. It doesn't say anything about beta on this. I mean, it does. I don't see anywhere it says beta, but that's what's interesting, because it's my sort of skeptical kind of conspiracy theorist side of me is saying, well, of course they're gonna stall on iOS. Because they put their engineering resources toward their own products, and I wonder what the experience is like on Android. On the 2 Android phones that it will likely work on.
We'll just have to wonder, because we'll never know.
Yeah, I'll never know. I mean, there have been some great articles coming out just this last week on the radical fragmentation that is finally getting under people's skin. That has always been there, but users are actually in specifically within Android. Verizon came out this week and said, you know what? And they said publicly, we want to do for Windows Phone what we did for Android. And that means we're going to put a lot of money right now toward Windows Phone. Sorry, Android. Right? I mean, I think that's what they're seeing, and I think that, I don't know. I'm bearish on Google Drive and Android right now. So I'm feeling really good about Dropbox, and I see no reason to jump ship at this point.
I would just love to have a pricing. I don't know. Obviously I have to bite the bullet and just do it because MobileMe is gone away, and I need.
Well, either way, I mean, you could go try iCloud. I think iCloud is great, but it's that app centric thing. It's like I really like Dropbox because I can see all of my documents, and that's the old man Pete. I want to see my docs.
The old man what?
The old man Pete. Because iCloud, the iCloud
I thought
assumes.
You said old man P, and I thought you were talking about a prostate problem.
No, that'll be that's a show yet to have.
That's a podcast a decade away.
Yeah. Future Pete and future Dane are going to have that conversation.
Pete and Dane on prostate health.
That's right. No, the assumption for iCloud is that you don't need to see which documents open where, and I don't like that yet. I haven't made that leap. So anyway,
way to enlighten me as you wrap it up.
Yeah, I got nothing else. I'm officially out of steam. Now I actually have to go pass out in my diabetic coma. You got my best 46 minutes, Dane. My best.
Well, good. Well, the day's more or less over. I'm going to go fix the sprinkling system. So
good talk.
Good talk.
Bye.
Out.